Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the amazing Sor Hands Q&A podcast. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm actually here with a guest this time.
Hello.
Yeah, there he is. His name is Joe. That's his first name, and we don't have to get into last names.
No.
No.
I don't care.
Joe. This is Joe Bitch. Joe, that's her name, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Joe Birch. Yeah, pretty close. Sorry, it's been a while since I thought about your last name, so I had to remember it. But yeah, as per usual, we're out on a walk, filming these things. And I have a few topics that I want to get into, but I first want to just have a little bit of small talk just to sort of set the mood. So Joseph, what were you just doing? Just wondering.
So I just got off work.
Yeah, you do that?
I do work.
Are you a fucking adult?
Yeah, well,
yeah,
you know.
Can curse on this. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
You can relax, you know.
I don't have to watch my fucking language or anything?
No.
All right.
Just don't. Well, never mind. I'm not going to go there. But what were you saying?
Yeah, so I just got off work. I work at a law firm. We're closing up early for the holidays. We're going to take a couple weeks pretty much off.
Yeah. Because the law stops for the holidays.
Yeah, the law. Well, you know.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's cool. So this is a music podcast. This is related to my YouTube channel. Things have been pretty crazy on my YouTube channel, by the way.
Yeah? In what way?
Like yesterday, I got 160 subscribers.
Oh man, in a day?
In a day.
Wow. Really picking up there.
Yeah.
May that happen day after day.
That would be pretty nuts. I would turn into a monster.
Yeah, you would.
More than I already have. I'm sure I'm really hard to be around at this point.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now, this is a music podcast, or I mean, kind of. I'll sort of explain it to you. It's the Sor Hands Q&A podcast, the amazing Q&A podcast.
Right.
Where I take time to answer questions, on one video, because there's usually a lot of questions I don't actually get to them as much as I used to.
Okay.
Because there's just so many.
So we're going to be answering questions?
Yeah, we're going to be answering questions.
I have a lot of opinions, thoughts, commentary.
Oh, well, I thought you'd be perfect for this. It'll all be related to mostly music practice and all that stuff.
I do that.
You do that.
Well,
yeah. So tell us a little bit. What kind of music do you do? What's your musical life?
So in my previous life, in undergrad, I also studied the classical guitar.
Yep. That's where we met, actually.
Yeah, we were in the same program. So we're from, I guess, kind of the same pedagogical school.
Yes.
Great time.
Great time.
Being there.
Got really drunk. Often.
Played a lot of guitar.
That too, I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, and now, believe it or not, I don't have a lot of classical guitar gigs. We're not all Sor Hands.
Oh yeah, I'm swimming in them.
So I primarily gig now as a vocalist.
Yeah. And what kind of gigs are those?
A lot of choral music and small vocal ensembles, church choirs, other choral groups.
Yeah. Well,
some solos in that style, classical oratorio. But also, on the side, I pursue a lot of folk and rock and popular music.
Okay, we all right. Let's not get into that. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I only mention it.
Yeah.
To show that I'm not perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. We're all sinners in the eyes of God. So I know.
Romans 3:23.
Oh, there we go. Nice. Yeah, we're real religious here too.
What was that?
We're really religious here too. Here on Sor Hands.
I mean, Half of this podcast is really religious.
Yeah, you are. You are, right?
Yeah. I would say I'm religious. Yeah, well,
No.
Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own idea of what that means, and
Yeah.
it may mean, I know that guy.
Oh.
It may mean different things for different people,
Yeah.
which I'm going to get burnt at the stake for saying.
Nice.
But there you go.
Yeah, that's cool. Really cool stuff. We have a diverse crowd here. just so Western. Just two classical musicians.
Yeah,
have,
but, you know.
One's Catholic, one's like atheist, whatever. But yeah. From the same school too.
Yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of diversity.
Just a couple of guys from the same like state. Well, I
Play
mean,
the same instrument.
yeah,
Yeah.
more or
Yeah.
less from the same state. I mean, we grew up in the same state for the most part.
Yeah, we did.
No need to get
Don't
into
you-
detail.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Where'd you go to high school, Cameron?
Yeah. Where's your mom live?
What's her address?
Yeah, it's like,
Your mother's maiden name, your first pet, the street you grew up on.
you own an opera house too, right?
Yeah, so I serve on the board
Oh,
of
I thought you owned it.
well, I mean that's like a nonprofit doesn't have owners, I guess strictly speaking. It has a board of directors.
Yeah.
So I serve on the board of an opera company.
Wow. Nice.
I guess should I plug them? Can I do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I serve on the board of Columbia Operatic Laboratory, or it's also called CoLab for short.
Ooh.
We're a nonprofit opera company focused on local talent and arts education and accessibility.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of shows in unconventional venues, sort of outreach-focused events, stuff like that.
Nice. I don't know how I feel about accessible art, but I digress.
It's a little bit. So
joking.
how academic do we get on here?
You can get as academic as you want.
So it's a little bit like I read one time about this in literature and in like early education. The concept of like Shakespeare, for example, as like an ivory tower.
Yeah.
And the idea is if you take middle school students and you get them into Shakespeare, then from that point on, nothing seems like it's above them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually easy to do because Shakespeare is very dramatic and messy and, iambic pentameter is very easy to memorize. So
Yeah.
once you just get them to be able to read that kind of language and, care about those kind of stories, then from that point on, they're a lot harder to intimidate academically.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's very good. I'm joking that I'm into that.
Of course, but like accessibility in the sense of like giving people the tools to grasp like something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I had a bunch of jokes ready to go. I'll just say them out loud. I don't like that because then it takes away from like douchebags like me. You want to feel spirit, everyone. I automatically don't respect people that don't naturally speak an iambic pentameter. That was all of them, I think.
Okay.
I just wanted to get them out. All right.
You say not an iambic pentameter.
Yeah, if you don't naturally speak in it.
No, but I'm saying you're not doing it right now.
Well, hold on. Give me a second. Let me think about it.
You're not going to naturally do it.
It's like the heartbeat thing, right?
Yeah, it's a pentameter that's iambic in nature.
Okay. I see.
So, if you speak Latin.
See, I don't even actually know. I'm a dumbass. But, all right, so I think it's enough preamble. We know who you are. Joseph, Joe. Let's get into some of these comments, shall we? I usually just pick one video, and then I just sort of go on all of them.
Okay.
I think maybe this one would be good. Can you be self-taught and a good person at the same time?
I saw the notification for that. I have it saved to watch later.
Yeah, it's a good one, I'm sure. I barely watched it. I'm just kidding. I made it. Yeah, so we have some stuff here. What did I talk about in it? Like, I was talking about like the importance of like having a teacher and like how much easier it makes things, I guess. And I guess I've always like, I feel like guitar is just there's a sort of like pride that people have like in being like self-taught,
Right.
that you don't really see in like other things. Like if you're gonna start learning karate or something, like you have to go to a dojo. Like that's how you start learning karate. Which there's a lot to get into with even that, because even as I'm saying it, there are like lots of questions.
Well, yeah, can I throw in a thought on that?
Yes.
So it's like, that's a really good comparison, because learning karate is learning a discipline that has a history and like, you know, an orthodoxy of its own.
Yeah.
Learning to fight, you could do on your own.
Yeah.
By trial and error, I guess, if you live long enough.
Yeah.
But learning karate, you have to go to somebody who, you know, is qualified in it. I feel the same way about being self-taught on an instrument. If you want to play, if all you want to play is popular music, and we joke about popular music, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not denigrating it by saying that. I'm saying if what you're valuing is, you know, maybe originality over technique, or maybe, you know, just figuring things out and immediately, you know, plugging yourself into a band or a gig, yeah, go ahead, self-teach. If like you have the knack for self-teaching and you have resources available to help you do it. But if you're trying to learn a discipline, you know, with a history, you're going to want to seek out somebody who's qualified in it.
Yeah.
And they're going to teach it to you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And one, I don't think I quite came to... I'm glad that you said all that, because I completely agree with everything that you're saying. Because you definitely can learn to like play guitar or whatever, like without like the history and like the the like style.
There are great self-taught guitarists.
Yeah.
In that they are, you know, they're great artists.
Yeah, or it's important to like also note, like whenever I'm talking about guitar, I'm pretty much always talking about classical guitar.
Right. And I feel like that's a lot of people are gonna go, of course you can be a self-taught guitarist. Jimi Hendrix is a self-taught guitarist. And it's like, yeah, but you know, he never played Bach that I know of.
Yeah.
Like,
let's see his fugue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Jimi Hendrix, if you want some lessons, email in the description.
If Jimi Hendrix emails you, don't reply.
All right, so let's get into some of these. And I think I also talked about my excuse for not having a teacher this whole time, and that, like, you know, like I've had teachers a lot, and I kind of like it's sometimes nice to go away from that,
right?
And sort of develop, especially if you like have some guidance already. But I have a pretty I think I know what I want in a teacher going forward, so I'm just sort of waiting with bated breath for grad school to start.
That's important. That's something you get to, I think, later in your education, is being able to be like, how good is my teacher actually?
Yeah, exactly.
And what kind of musician and what kind of teacher do I want to learn from?
Yeah, well, and I feel like without the break that I took, it would be a lot harder for me to have like any kind of scrutiny, just because I don't know, I've been out in the real world and practicing, and like I've learned a lot on my own.
Well, it's like we were talking about this the other day, right? Because you were talking about grad schools and teachers, and there was somebody, and obviously we're not going to name any kind of identifier.
Yeah, no.
But there was somebody that we kind of said, hey, I don't necessarily... I feel like I know what his pedagogical advice would be, and I wouldn't want to take it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like where he's at is not somewhere that you're aspiring to right now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, well, that's probably not going to be a good route.
Yeah. Hopefully that wasn't too vague.
Huh?
Hopefully that wasn't too vague.
Yeah.
But, yeah, definitely. All right, let's get into some questions here. I'm just going to start reading these off. Oh, God. Well, we got to cross the street first. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's see. So this one is from Mike Sanders 1205. I haven't proofread these, so these might not be great questions, or questions at all, in fact.
Well, yeah. I'll react to them anyway.
I think you could be self-taught, but I think
you definitely can.
I think you can be self-taught, but you actually have to teach yourself to study. You can access all material you would ever need to on the internet these days. It just takes the time and effort to learn it and apply it. How do you feel about that? You think you can access everything you need for classical guitar?
You don't know what you don't know, right? Who was the George Bush aide that talked about known unknowns and all that crap?
I think, I don't know.
Well, anyway. Here I am with my Iraq War era memes, but
Yeah.
cut that.
Oh, there's no cutting. Yeah, we don't cut anything here.
Oh God.
It just goes.
We're not live, are we?
No, we're not live.
But we are uncut.
But it is going.
Okay.
It is going, and it will be uploaded. So.
Well, anyway, the only caveat I would have to that, and again, outside of classical, all the best musicians I know are self-taught, but within classical, you don't know how to teach yourself how to study something that you already don't know anything about.
Facts.
So, like, yeah, you could access everything, but it's almost like, and I hate it when people compare music to, like, medicine, because, you know, if you play a fugue wrong, no one dies. But compare it to medicine or law. You know, let's take law. Somebody could go and buy all of my law books for all 3 years of law school, and they could read them cover to cover, which no law student has ever done. And they would have no idea how to go out and start practicing law.
Yeah. No, there's, and I think even for classical guitar, a lot of what I've learned, like at least with the movements, it really is like the least amount of effort you can possibly find, and like the simplest like hand movement is really what you want to do. Or that's like how everything works on the classical guitar. It's just like all about eliminating like superfluous effort and strain.
Right.
Which like you can do that by just letting your hand go limp and then just pulling your fingers in slowly. And that's basically the movement for both hands. And even still, like, even if you do that, I don't know, like, even if you have like an issue or like maybe you can't like afford a teacher, even just like one lesson every few months or something, just for that guidance.
I think that would be great. Like if you
you just have no idea like if you're right or not. Like even if you're watching David Russell play and you, like your hands look like his, I don't know.
So much of it is subjective, right? So it's like this proprioceptive sort of pedagogy where it's like, okay, relax your hand. It's like, well, again, I feel like my hand's relaxed, and maybe I'm under unnecessary strain.
It's like relax your hand asterisk.
Yeah.
And the asterisk is like, that's what the teacher's for. Like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
You know?
And again, you could figure it out on your own, but how long is it going to take you? Like, you'd have to be like, you'd have to be incredibly gifted at like figuring things out.
Yeah.
And then you would have to spend a lot of time thinking about like how things work.
Yeah.
And then you'd figure out a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's the same principle. It's like, give me long enough, I could figure out Pythagorean theorem, right? Pythagoras wasn't the only one.
You mean like just organically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he's not the only person in history capable of figuring out how fucking triangles work.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier. You have much easier time if you just learn that in elementary school.
Yeah. I don't think I learned that. But anyways, okay. So I also want to say, Mike, I feel like we're speaking like very frankly, and like Mike, thanks for watching, friend of the channel, and everything we say is also not directed to any one person.
No.
And I'm very happy that all of you are watching and commenting.
No,
we're just kind of riffing, yo.
Everybody that's a Sor Hands fan is a good and smart person.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to be.
Yeah. Good and probably I'd say so. But that's only half of his thing. Being able to analyze your skill level and how you can improve is key. So having an outside opinion can be helpful. But as far as actual lessons, I've never had one that I found. I've never had one that I found very fruitful it's just not the way I learn things. It really depends on the person and what the goal is musically. If you want to be punk rock, lessons could actually, if you want to be punk rock, lessons could actually hurt you. Dude, I'm stupid, I'm sorry. Yeah, perhaps.
No, this is Mike, right?
Mike
has a great point here.
Yeah.
And I also think it depends on finding the right fit of student and teacher can take a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, it's like finding a therapist.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes what music lessons turn into.
God, I hope not. My guitar teacher and I, like, 4 years, we learned almost nothing about each other outside of the guitar, and that was perfect.
Wow. That's crazy. Man. Yeah, but yeah, so, you know, I think, if I remember, so Mike, you didn't have many lessons and you like that. Well, that's fine. I guess that kind of goes with it, though. Like, one lesson just to see if you do like it, or if it, like, works for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people where it doesn't, like, always work. It also depends on the teacher, too. I'm sure you can find a teacher that you like, but that's sometimes hard to find. Unless you go online.
My experience, which I'm sure is like a lot of people nowadays, and probably not dissimilar to yours, I was self-taught pre-college.
Yeah.
And then I went into the music school, and we spent a semester like rebuilding my technique to be not just better, not just correct, but to be more effective and more efficient.
Yeah.
And healthier. And that's what a lot of your technique work is about. But, you know, I felt like I knew a lot, and then I sort of felt like I was starting over, but it wasn't really starting over.
Yeah, I felt like I knew a lot in the beginning, too. It's pretty crushing.
Yeah, well, there were other things about music school that were, you know...
Crushing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
no, yeah, I've definitely gone through crushed.
But my guitar lessons never did that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Mine did a little bit. It's because I started off as like a shredder, like pick shredder. Yeah. And it's like classical is just so different that I had to work pretty hard to get my technique to where it is now.
Yeah.
Still not good enough. Not even close. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, comparably, like, I started more in, like, folk and moved into, like, fingerstyle and then into classical.
Yeah.
And I probably did, like, a year or so of, like, self-taught classical guitar pre-college, which, like, mostly consisted of me, like, working through a method book and learning, like, beginner pieces.
Yeah. Wow.
So, like... I don't know, that was, I guess my point in relation to the comment was that was not in any way a fruitless endeavor.
Yeah. Like,
that definitely helped me learn guitar.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And prepared me to take lessons.
It all builds. Like, obviously, the most optimal way to learn guitar would be to, like, have your parents sign you up for guitar lessons when you're 4 with, like, a master, like, professor or something.
Right.
And then you do that until you're 18. And then get a scholarship to Peabody or whatever. And that's like the most optimal way to practice guitar. But, you know, like that's not the only way to reach like a very high level. And that's also like kind of ridiculous. So some people get to do it. That's cool for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's, we all have our own journey.
All right.
All right, yeah.
But thanks to Mike for the comment.
All right, this is actually, let's see if we can answer this.
Ooh.
This one is from Seeming Music.
All right.
Guidance in anything in life can be a good thing. Smiley face. Oh yeah, Ming, friend of the channel, longtime friend of the channel.
Oh, cool.
How's it going, Ming? We will reject lessons or advice if it was all free, fully free of charge. Oh, will we reject them if it's all free of charge? Okay. I've never encountered someone who's taken lessons with multiple teachers to regret ever having done so. And I don't know that word. What does that say?
Opined.
Opined. Good job, Ming. You stumped me. That's not hard to do. Opined. They would have been better off without. Okay. So, I mean...
That's a good point. I feel like even
It's part of the
people,
journey thing, right?
even people who felt like they didn't have a good, like a great teacher, often will say like, okay, I learned something.
Yeah.
Like I got
Even
better
if
from the
it's
experience.
Like I learned what I don't like.
Yeah.
That can be important.
With the exception of like you had like an evil teacher.
Yeah, that happens too. I've heard stories of that.
Yeah. But if you just have like a not very good teacher.
Yeah. I think it's good for like your it builds up like your scrutiny muscle.
Yeah.
Because you can see the same things you saw in them and other people and be like, they're a charlatan. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna learn from
exactly.
them.
So those are the only people who would probably opine that they were not better off, but even they're better off in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. For people who have teachers, here's some food for thought. Some people may not have the personal means to afford lessons or have access to a teacher. Remember, these people are human beings. Remember, they don't want to feel invalidated and should feel proud of achieving any results with guitar. Simply dismissing one's effort or hurting their dignity may not be very kind. Perhaps saying you need a teacher is a bit jarring to hear.
I would agree with that. I
Ming,
feel like
are you
if
a
you
hater
would,
now, still attacking me. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's very true, man.
Yeah, and I think like whether it's true that you need a teacher, which I would say like, and even me talking, I'm wording it very carefully because I know that like I know people who may hear it and you know have opinions about what we have to say here, but
Yeah.
like even if you do need a teacher to accomplish certain things, saying you need a teacher is jarring. Like I probably, if you had told me when I was 16, hey, you need a teacher, like with no point blank, no context, I would have been like, I would have resented that, or been skeptical of it.
Yeah.
But you do need a teacher if you have certain goals that a teacher will get you to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and what strikes me with that is like the whole like a lot of people don't have the means to afford a teacher, and that's true. And I'm a big proponent of the like very occasional like $30 lesson, like for a year, something like that.
Now, interestingly,
You can get a lot done with that, especially if you explain it to the teacher. Because like, if somebody came to me and just wanted like one lesson, like you know, you set them up for like with months of work.
I agree with that. I've done one-off lessons before.
Because I approach lessons differently if I know they're going to be one-off versus like recurring. Because when they're recurring, I can spend like a lesson on like a very small little detail, just about their technique or something.
Right.
I know that it's gonna like be good for them in the long run, even though like in that moment, if that was your one-off lesson, like you told me to just like do this with my hand a little bit different, you'd feel like a little cheated, I think. But that's the benefit of like recurring lessons, of course. But one-off, like you can just set them up and like they can record.
Fun fact, I do know at least one guitar teacher who would say that a one-off is not a lesson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is it?
I don't remember what like the better term for it is.
Oh.
But like lessons are what you take on an ongoing basis with your teacher.
Yeah.
And I guess like a one-off would be like a one-person masterclass.
Yeah, I guess.
Or a coaching maybe. Like
I guess a masterclass.
Yeah.
Call that.
But no, I've done the one-off and I've done the weekly, and I've gone like right now I haven't been into a lesson in probably like a couple years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you're in a position where you want to learn classical technique and classical music and you can't afford a teacher, you know, I would be trying to save up for a one-time lesson with whoever I can get a hold of it. And now, you know, there's virtual options and everything.
Yeah.
More readily available, so.
Yeah, which even beyond that, because like, I'm sure even just the thought of like saving up for that is like annoying if you have to if that's like something that's gonna cost you a lot.
Yeah, well, if you're strapped for cash, like
there are a lot of resources still, like online.
Yeah, but if you're like a broke grad student, like I am right now, I mean, I could understand being like, hey, if I'm going to save up for something, it's not going to be a guitar lesson.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that.
Yeah, guitar lessons are definitely like it's a luxury.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But you know.
Very true. So, you know, I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings when I say, like, you need a teacher. I say that, like, a little tongue-in-cheek, too, because I like to just say shit sometimes. But he ended it with, perhaps the most uncomfortable topic is money.
Yeah.
I'm sure most self-taught guitarists read and watch free material online. They're still taught, but maybe not in a traditional sense. Is that teaching, if it's all learned from, like, materials? Or is that, like, research? And, you know, like, is there a difference between those?
I guess if somebody is telling you, if you're reading an instructional book or watching a video where somebody's basically giving, like, a master class to the internet, then I guess you're being taught in a broad sense, you are being taught.
Yeah.
Like if you watch like a lecture that's free on YouTube, like you've just been taught by that person.
Yeah.
In the most literal way of meaning.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, good question. There's replies to that question. Hold on now. Let's see. Steven said, "You're not wrong. I've heard that Bream was mostly self-taught." Is that true?
The way I understood that, and somebody will correct me. I don't have to ask.
No, I don't know. But like, this show only has like 10 subscribers right now.
I heard
it's very likely no one else.
That Bream was mostly self-taught up to a point, and then I know for a fact that he had he developed like a medical issue or like a hand injury.
Yeah.
And he had to like relearn how to play guitar.
Yeah.
So the way that I kind of heard that was he was self-taught, and then he hurt himself, and then he had to go and like relearn his technique, like healthier technique.
You think it would have covered that in all the Bream documentaries I watched? I need to go through those again. I miss those days of Sor Hands. You just watch Bream documentaries after a practice log.
Yeah.
All I do now is just, like, talk shit at my computer. And what happened to me? Oh well. Okay, this one's from Basklists. How often do you record and re-listen to your practice? Always. Actually, I go through phases. Actually, there was a while, like a few months ago, for probably like 100 days or so, where I was a little depressed and like didn't care. And I would honestly film the practice logs, and I would like skip and like not even listen to myself.
Oh, you were a little depressed for 100 days.
About 100 days, yeah. Just like
a third of the year. Well, you know, like
I was going through a rough time. Like,
over a quarter of the year.
It was between logs, like I don't know, like like 200 and like 300, or no, like 150 and 250.
Sure, yeah.
Probably. I was not super happy then.
Right.
For many reasons, and one of which was I felt very like stuck, which is kind of the opposite of what stuck in like my guitar playing, which is something that can fuel my depression, my actual guitar playing, which is crazy. I put so much weight into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like who I am. It's great. But,
that's a great question though, because I don't do that near as much as I should. I was advised to do that.
Yeah.
In college.
Yeah, and that's something that David Russell said that on the record too.
Yeah.
And this is something that I actually plan on doing myself over this winter break that I'm taking, because I'm taking a week off from filming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get and stitch together like a recording of the fugue that I've been working on all year, and maybe have that be a tradition where every year the fugue that I pick. Because right now for the next year I'm gonna work on 997.
All right.
Yeah. So maybe every year around like Christmas time, I'll not a full performance, but a stitched together, like as perfect and as best as I can make it, recording of whatever fugue I'm working on.
Love it.
And see if we can just compile those over time. And maybe I'll reach a point where I can, like, the only reason why I'm not putting out an actual performance is just because I know that at this point right now, there's no way I'll be able to have a single take that I'll actually be proud of. Like, I'll have good takes of it.
Right.
And I do have good takes of it, but not takes that, like...
And for anybody listening, he means that he's saying that because he's a perfectionist. Like, I've worked with this guy on, like, recording projects.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the level that something has to be at for it to be like, oh, I'm proud of it, is like, insane.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, it's... So we'll see.
But no, recording yourself is a great way to see your progress.
It is.
It's a great way to diagnose your problems and see your progress.
Definitely. Well, and especially stitching together recordings, too. And this is why David Russell brought it up, I think, in some video I watched. Can you get, like, a perfect stitched together recording?
Right.
And if you can't, that, like, perfectly diagnoses the areas that need work. Because it's like, I can't record this part.
Right.
You just can't do it. So,
yeah.
Like,
that's, I mean, what our professor told me, you know, even when I came in, he was like, record yourself now, because in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I want you to be able to see the payoff.
Yeah.
You know, and this goes back to the whole teacher thing of, if you want to know if your lessons are making you a better guitarist, compare yourself to past you.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, where do I see that I'm applying things I've learned, and am I liking the result?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I have a recording of myself playing a Barrios piece. It's like Madrigal Gavant or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's, you know that piece?
Yeah. If it's the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like 22, and I recorded it for one of my juries, and like it was during COVID, so like we just submitted like videos for the jury.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it like a few months ago, and I was like, God damn, this sounds freaking good. Like, I don't know if I could play this well right now. Like, what the hell happened to me? Like, I'm sure that I am better now.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. It was a little like weird to watch, because I was like, I feel like if I saw this recording on YouTube, I would think this is like a decent recording.
Yeah.
From like a guy. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. But yeah, whatever. So, recording yourself. Oop, is this still recording? Yeah.
Record yourself. Also practicing in front of a mirror, kind of the same.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Trying to get lost in your eyes.
Yeah.
And you
don't even open your eyes.
Don't even. What's the point of the mirror then? Just
conduit to another world.
Yeah.
No.
There we go. And he said, like, play things and then immediately listen back. I'm trying to use that as feedback.
I don't know if I'd do it immediately. Would you do that immediately?
No, I don't think I'd do that. I would wait for sure.
I have done that. Oh, you know what? I've never done it with guitar. I've done it with voice, because I'm like, I want to know right now, is this working?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying this out. I want to know immediately what it sounds like. Voice is a little different because you don't hear your own voice the way it actually sounds.
Yeah.
You hear your guitar.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. That's interesting. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but I think maybe I do. I'll have to think about that. Do I hear my guitar actually how it sounds? Because I feel like I might not.
You don't hear what your audience hears.
I know, of course. No, I think that maybe it's like a psychological thing where, because a lot of times when I'm playing, I'll feel like it sounds so bad, and then I'll have a take that sounds like so good to me, and then when I listen back to both of them, they sound like exactly the same. Like when I listen to them later.
Oh, definitely. That definitely happens.
Yeah.
But it's harder. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, your voice is coming from inside your body.
Yeah.
So
that is.
You're hearing it very differently than you hear anything else ever.
Yeah. Very true. Okay, so can you react to Matteo Mancuso? Yeah, and I'll be really douchey about it, and I'll get a bunch of hate. That's a good idea. I'm going to do that. Let's see.
No, I'm not the first king of controversy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some questions here. Any good ones? I'm a self-taught... Oh, here we go. Wait, this one is from... Let me read his name. Oh, this one is from Igimsey.
Igimsey?
So in my Jacob Coyer video, I have this controversy where Jacob Coyer was playing like these chords over Amazing Grace, and I made a joke about like random chords. And everyone was like, "It's just a 2-5-1, bro. Like, you can't hear that's a 2-5-1. You went to music school and you can't hear that." And it's like, no, it's not in sheet music, so I don't know what it is. And but that guy, he was commenting a lot about like on the negative side of that, like saying that I can't hear it. But he also left this comment. I haven't read it yet.
All right.
So let's see how it is. I'm a self-taught guitarist for the better part of 20 plus years. It's all up to how much you push yourself. Oh, so he actually watched this not Jacob Coyer video and is actually legitimately
engaging with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Thanks for stopping by, man. And no hard feelings with the 2-5-1 thing. Taught myself jazz with the goal of improvisation. Ear training is important. Shut up.
Expert in the 2-5-1. Expert in the 2-5-1.
Ear training's so important. All right. I don't think I need a teacher with people like Ted Green and Barry Harris having a lot of their material for free on the internet. Yeah, for jazz.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say you don't need a teacher for jazz.
Yeah, and I'm saying that as somebody who sucks at jazz.
So am I, but no, I don't play jazz by choice.
Wow.
That sounded a lot harsher than I meant it to be. You can't do everything.
Yeah.
So you have to pick the things you love the most and focus on them.
Yeah.
So I've never really made a serious effort to learn to play jazz.
Yeah. Well, so and I do agree that a teacher is not as necessary for learning jazz, because I think I'm saying this as a non-jazz person,
right,
but a lot of what you're playing or a lot of what you'd be learning in those lessons is learning like the jazz, like improvisation, like the theory, like learning your 2-5-1s,
right,
and all that. And really what it comes down to is placing notes in the style of whatever jazz style you're trying to play. And as far as like technique goes, like that's a lot of stuff that you would need with a classical teacher. Like it's technique, it's the history, it's the tradition of the classical guitar. And not that there isn't like a tradition of jazz guitar.
But the jazz tradition is not, I don't know, the jazz tradition is how do I want to say this? It's not native to the academic realm.
Go on.
Like the first and a lot of the great jazz musicians, the movers and shakers of the genre, like, well, I mean, a lot of them did have teachers, to be fair.
Yeah.
But they were not coming out of like conservatories. I mean, there were no formal jazz programs in the like early days of jazz.
Yeah.
This was very much like a grassroots style of music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, in a genre that's based, at least as I understand it, on ear training and improv, I feel like having formal teaching is less important as long as you are able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know, because I do have some experience with jazz, even though that might be hard to believe with the 2-5-1 debacle. Having a jazz teacher does definitely make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because there are just like these standard like patterns that you can see, like especially if you know your stuff already.
Right.
Like if you already play an instrument. But if you're just starting out, you might want a jazz teacher if you are like getting into it and know nothing about it. But once you do know a lot of stuff, like I know what I would do.
Right.
If I wanted to get really good at jazz, like I would pick up like Autumn Leaves and Donnelly, like all the standard tunes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I
the
think
circle fifths, and I would just learn like linear harmony around them, where I'd start with like 1, 3, 5, 7, going between each chord and 8th notes, and closing on like all the chord tones of the next chord I'm going to, and writing out like a shit ton of solos like that.
Yeah.
And then just learning them all super well, and just sort of internalizing all that, and then give that a few years, and I can rip like a nice solo. I'm sure.
Like, I know a lot of good I know some like really good jazz players.
Yeah.
And so like, I feel like I've heard them talk about like a great jazz musician is somebody who learns their instrument really, really well, and then learns all the jazz standards.
Yeah.
And how to like improv with a band.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the recipe for a great jazz musician. Learn your instrument really well.
Well, and that's how a lot of like I've heard I can't name
and then love jazz, you know, like
like I can't name any jazz pianists right now, but I'm pretty sure that's how at least one of them started, like or at least a few, or they're classical and then they.
I'm trying to think because there's a guy whose name that I always forget, and he's like a like pinnacle jazz pianist.
Yeah.
And he was a classical like solo pianist.
Yeah, I'm sure any jazzer would know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Their names. I'm sorry. I haven't been into jazz in a while.
No, and it's a great genre.
Oh, it is.
And I mean, it's incredibly like complex and sophisticated, and it's.
Yeah.
That's almost why I have the skepticism of like academic establishment jazz. Because and again, this goes back to the idea of like there are good teachers and bad teachers, right? Because like sometimes you see like a college jazz recital and you're just like, man, that's so sanitized. Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, good.
Good to see you. Doing? I'm good. Yeah.
Where y'all up to?
We're
recording.
We're recording a podcast. He does. Yeah. But yeah, how you doing?
Good. Just coming from the courthouse, going back to the office.
Good times.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah. You too. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. Was he a criminal?
No, he's a lawyer.
Oh.
He's a criminal defense attorney.
Okay.
So, you know.
Yes.
Criminal adjacent. I mean.
Yeah. Might as well be.
No, he's a genius in craft, much like jazz musicians.
Yes, of course. There's so many intricacies and complexities.
Yeah.
It's similar to being a criminal defense lawyer.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right, so we riffed on that. We only read like 2 sentences of his comment.
Oh, well, let's keep going.
Taught myself jazz with the goal of improvisation. Your training is important. I don't think I need a teacher with people like, all right, yeah. A lot of their material for free online. Thomas E. Cole's channel, Labyrinth of Limitations. That's enough content to practice for a lifetime since it's just Barry Harris method translated to guitar. That's interesting. I'll check that out maybe. But maybe not because I'm so focused on classical.
I was going to say, I want to call attention to, you already said earlier, when I talk about guitar, I'm talking about classical.
Exactly.
So for him to talk about jazz, I'm like, that's a great point. But it also, like, you're only talking about, like, learning classical.
Well, and that's actually something I want to talk about with that Jacob Coyer video. Mm-hmm. Because what I think a lot of people failed to, like, realize, like, they're saying that, like, I don't get the video. And, like, I need to, like, study all this stuff. And I literally titled the video Classical Guitarist Reacts to Jacob Coyer. Yeah. Like, what do you expect, like, a well-rounded jazz and classical guitarist to react to? Like, knows everything? Like, no, I'm, like, a stuffy, like, guy who plays his fugue all day. And I'm reacting to, like, Jacob Coyer. The comedy...
Again.
The comedy is in me, not... understanding the 251. That's the funny part. That's what it is.
I think what happened is you just told a joke that didn't land.
Yeah,
like you know.
Yeah, which I mean, well, I did earnestly like have no idea what he was playing. Like I didn't hear it. Like I hear it now.
You didn't hear the 251.
Well, it's because when you're like when I'm recording like that, I'm putting on a show.
You're not analyzing. You're just casually listening.
Exactly. Like I'm not like trying to.
And I want to say, like, again, like, and maybe people are going to take this as, like, classical guitarists have no ear training, which is not true. But when I listen to music, as a listener, like, and it's not a piece I'm trying to learn, I'm completely, there are no thoughts in my head.
Yeah.
I'm completely, like, just hearing and experiencing.
Yeah.
So, like, no, I at no point am I like, oh, hey, 251. I'm like...
Well, I think that is a very jazzy thing to be always listening for, like, the bass line and, like, what the chord progression is.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you're, like, it's just that improv style that you just are...
You have to be tuned into that.
But, guys, like, it's it's called classical guitarist reacts, and then you get pissed when I'm a classical guitarist reacting.
You're reacting as a classical guitarist.
Yeah,
like you're not putting on another hat for this video.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going like extra classical because like, like in reality, like I am like a more diverse guitarist than just classical. Like, I've studied a lot of different kinds of music.
Right,
like,
Cameron is, but Sor Hands is not.
Yeah, Sor Hands is very like, it's like a sarcastic, like, what's it called? Like caricature of classical guitar.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I'm trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, you know, anyways, hold on, let's get back to what you're saying. Since it's just Barry Harris method transcribed to guitar, I find myself stumbling upon a lot of classical sounding moves just fooling around with chords, scales. Yes, yeah, I say that all the time. Like bebop to me, like, because I went through a phase where I was transcribing like a bit of Charlie Parker and trying to learn it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like from going to that, and also like studying Bach like on either side of that.
Right.
It's all like Bach prepared me really well for Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
And even like studying Charlie Parker has prepared me even better for like the Bach that I'm learning now. Like all the harmony is really similar. And like the rules are the same. It's just like timbre, tempo, and swing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and just like the general like feel.
Yeah.
Like those are really the difference. When you get to like especially bebop. But I mean, I'm saying that as a non-expert, of course. Let's see what other people said. Let's see. I studied Barry Harris. This is a different guy now. Pick and Stone. I studied Barry Harris method, one of his former bandmates and close friends, and I went to Barry's workshop. Why am I reading this? That's not a question for me. They're just talking about Barry Harris.
A lot of Barry Harris getting a lot of love here.
Yeah, dude, he's the man. One day I'll go through a jazz phase again, I'm sure, and I'll make you all proud. But for now, this is a classical show, and I'm a classical man, classical Cameron. And all right, so something that I also mentioned in this video, this is sort of separate to, or actually no, this goes with the idea of like having a teacher. Like what a teacher will provide you is you can play something for them, or actually like get rid of the teacher for a second. You're playing your piece, and there can be issues and glitches in the piece, and because I think like changing stuff is hard, homeostasis and all that, those glitches will just persist. They can persist forever because you just sort of accept that they're there, and it's like I can't play that part, and you don't even really think of it that way. It's just like it just happens.
The most common thing I hear is like, oh, that didn't work.
That didn't work.
And I remember being in like our master classes at school in college.
Yeah.
And getting like questioned after playing about like, you know, trying to like self-diagnose, and so many people going, well, this part didn't work. And a professor being like, well, why do you think it didn't work? What do you mean? What does that mean? It didn't work.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about a teacher, because they can point you to why something isn't working and what incremental steps you can take to correct it.
Exactly.
And they can point out things that aren't working that like you don't know aren't working yet because you haven't run into the problem. Like they're watching your technique in one context and they're like, okay, you're fine to play that the way you're playing it, but it's going to limit you when you try to advance.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, we're getting followed out here. But yeah, no, definitely. Where was I? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
If we walk down this way, I can drop this off at my car.
Oh yeah, sure. So my point is, like, once you already have a foundation, you can sort of diagnose those problems if you have a lot of discipline, and that's something that I even struggle with. Like when I talked about that 100-day span of depression. Yeah. Like a lot of my pieces kind of just stayed the same. Because I would just play them, and I wouldn't re-listen or listen to the recordings really, and I would just kind of whatever. Like, right. Like I don't know. It's easy to just let it go. But with a teacher, something that would go on for 100 days, on the second lesson, they'd be like, "Okay, you flubbed that the first time. You flubbed that today. That's what you're working on this week."
Yeah.
Like, don't work on anything else. Just work on this, and you already have everything else. And they'll tell you to do that, and it's easier. It is, even though it seems obvious in hindsight.
Yeah.
But
well, the longer you go through that process, the more you learn how to do that for yourself.
Exactly.
And that was what, our teacher really emphasized to me was, I'm trying to teach you how to figure out what's going on in your playing.
Yeah.
And how to make choices about how to approach something, whether it's smart practice or whether it's musical interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to learn how to figure those things out. That's what your lessons are for.
Yeah. So
your lesson is not to teach you the fugue. Your lesson is to teach you how to learn every other fugue.
Yeah, exactly. The first fugue is just the work example, the work problem.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring that up for this comment here from Jay. What's up, Jay? Friend of the channel. My neighbor plays Mozart K545 every day with the same painful mistakes and sloppy technique at lightning fast speeds. No detected improvement in 10 years. And what I would say to that is, if you could go to your neighbor and knock on his door and ask him, like, can you play that really, really slow?
Yeah.
And say that he's receptive to it, and like, let's see if he can. I would risk it all in saying that he could not. Like, even with sheet music and everything, but everything would not work out. Like, the fingerings wouldn't work out, like, whatever. Like, something would happen to where he couldn't play it, like, perfectly, like, quote-unquote perfectly.
Right.
Just, like, play it well, like, at a very slow speed. And that I think that can diagnose a lot of issues. Like, that's what I do, and I've been, like, doing that a lot, like, especially with my fugue. Like, when I'm trying to record or think about, like, how I'm going to break it up to record it, and it's like, can I play this section slow? And after the third attempt of playing it slow, like, something happens. It's just like, no, I cannot play it slow. And you just have to, like, kind of accept that.
Right.
And, like, okay, we need to just focus on, like, this part that's messing up. And then, like, try to make the answer to that question yes. You know?
Slow practice is everything.
Slow practice is everything. It is everything, sorry.
It is the, like... Maybe this is a stupid way to think about anything in the world, but if you asked me, what is the biggest key to music practice? I might say slow practice.
Yeah, and I would go one step further. What is the key to any physical, like, endeavor, like swinging a golf club or anything? And it is doing the movement slowly and precisely, and then adding power to it over time. But always going back to that slow and precise movement because this is just something that I think. I don't know if there's any merit to this at all. I'm not a neuroscientist. But when you run something at full speed, there's going to be natural degradation to it. Degradation?
Yeah.
I don't want to say that word.
Degradation, you said it right.
Okay. Over time. Like, it's like running a race car. Like, you need to take it in and repair it so it can run again. And you need to slow things down to that precise, zero muscle memory reliance, and just, like, relearn. Like, relearn as in, like, just slowly repair.
Review,
Yeah, review the movement. And it's easy, especially if you're working on pieces for years and years. Like, you can ask yourself this back at home. Like, the music you're working on, when was the last time you played that shit slow? Has it been a while? Like, can you even play it slow? Like,
and if you're frustrated with slow practice, like, sure, fine, whatever, but you never outgrow it.
Yeah.
Like, I saw an amazing classical guitarist in concert, and he played the Bach chaconne.
Yeah.
And he told me, like, we were talking about, like, his preparation, and he was like, the day before, I played the chaconne as slowly as I could possibly force myself to play it.
Yeah. Great.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly. that's why he was amazing.
Yeah.
And that's an excellent strategy. It's one that I've used, and it's one that I've maybe used not as much as I should, because I remember the best recording of my fugue that I have. I took it recently. I put it on Instagram. Yeah. The mic was kind of shitty. It was these lapel mics, actually, but also my dishwasher was running. But before I recorded that, I did exactly that. I played through it very, very slowly. Yeah. And then I turned the camera on and then played it. And my brain was so clear. Everything was so clear and all I had to think about was just the musicality. Like there was no like how do things go, because
Right.
I had confidence
Right.
that I had looked at each part and I knew what was going on. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's something. I feel like techniques like that. It's especially without a teacher.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget. Like for someone like me, even like because I feel like I rediscover that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like so, it's just I don't know. Just
But
a
it's
reminder.
slow practice. The key is to any, and I agree with you, any physical skill, doing it slow, breaking it down to its smallest component parts,
Yeah.
and visualization and
Yeah.
mental practice.
Visualization is huge, of course. I've talked a lot about that, which I won't go into everything I said now.
Sure, yeah. I'm a huge visualization person, and especially like people are like, oh, I don't have time to practice.
Yeah.
I don't have time to practice, but you know what I can do? And for an hour in the car, I can visualize as much as I want.
Pay attention to the road too.
Well, you know, I visualize it on the road.
Yeah, good. Nice. All right, which way are we
Cross
going?
right here.
Cross here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It may get a little noisy over here
That's okay.
by the bus station,
Oh,
but
that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, but I think, or anything else. Yeah, no detected improvement in 10 years. That one's from Jay. So maybe, take that to your neighbor. Knock on his door. I'm sure he'll be really receptive of that.
like, hey, the Mozart sounds great. I love it.
Yeah.
Uh,
You gotta start with that.
yeah.
Yeah. And then, just...
Do you have a moment to talk about slow practice?
Yeah, nice.
Then you give him a tract about it,
Yeah, perfect. And with that, I think that this is a fine place to end. Yeah, I feel like that was a pretty good one, man.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
You had a lot of good answers there.
Well, thank you. Felt like I talked a lot.
Oh, no, that was great. I'm always talking on these things, so it's nice to have somebody else talk. My voice doesn't hurt right now.
Yeah.
Usually
Good.
It hurts a lot.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I'm sure I'll have you on again soon.
That'd be awesome.
And, oh, I thought that was your car.
No.
We're walking towards Joe's car right now. And, yeah, any final thoughts before we end this thing?
No, I mean,
Nope.
yeah.
Said it all.
Practice your scales.
Practice your scales and your arpeggios. Don't forget. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Like and subscribe. See you later.